hours, so at 11:05. All right, Mr. Brockler, you may call your next witness.
Jansen Young, Your Honor.
Good morning. Could I have you raise your right hand for me so that I can administer an oath? Do you solemnly swear or affirm on a penalty of law that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Please be seated. Please tell us your full name and spell your first, middle, and last names.
Jansen Olivia Young, Jansen, Olivia, Olivia, Young, Young.
Mr. Brockler, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ma'am, would you please tell us what you do for a living?
I'm a veterinary technician.
I want to take you back to July 19th, 20th of 2012. Were you still doing the veterinary technician stuff back then?
Yes, I had just graduated.
From where?
Belray.
Never heard of it, but thank you. I want to take you to the theater, and we all know which movie we're here to talk about. What I want to ask you is, did you go by yourself that night or with some people?
No, I went with Jonathan Blanc, my boyfriend.
When did you guys decide to go to that movie?
Well, we had kind of been talking about it months in advance and then totally forgot, and the morning of, he reminded me that Batman was premiering that night, so we basically made the decision that morning.
What did you do leading up to getting to the theater that night?
I woke up and it was my day off, so I hung out with my roommate, Angela, for a while, and then we went to the movie theater around 11 a.m. and we bought our tickets, and then I think we just ran some errands, and John had to work that day. He'd been working a lot, and he got off work
Objection,
around...
Your Honor, 401, 403.
Ask the next question, please.
Yes, sir. What time did you guys end up getting to the theater?
Around 9:30.
Why so early?
We wanted to find good seats.
Were you able to find good seats?
Yes, the movie theater didn't... There was still a lot of options.
Not that crowded when you got there?
I wouldn't say not that crowded, but there were definitely enough empty seats.
Did you grab any concessions or anything before you went in?
Yes. Well, I think we went in and got our seats first, and then we went out and got concessions: popcorn, a cherry Coke, and sour punch straws.
You remember that with pretty good detail.
Yes.
Why?
Because it's what we got every single time we went to the movie theater together.
Had you been to that theater before?
Yes.
Had you been inside the actual theater number 9 before to see a movie?
I think it's very possible, but I can't know for sure.
Understood. Thank you. Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may.
Ma'am, I'm going to hand you what's been marked as People's Exhibit 4855 and a blank exhibit, which is People's 1181. Let me ask you first about 1181. Does that look to you to be an accurate representation of the seat layout of theater number 9 back on July the 19th and 20th of 2012?
Yes.
Now, there's nothing on it right now, but do you see the seats that you and Jonathan picked out after getting there so early that night?
Yes.
Is there a pen up there?
Yes.
Do me a favor, and would you please indicate where you and where Jonathan were sitting?
Okay.
Did you do that?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Do me a favor, and somewhere in that big white margin around there, would you write your name and today's date?
Yes.
Did you know anybody else that was around you when you were sitting in the theater?
Not at the time.
What did you end up doing while you were waiting for the movie to start?
We were playing on our phones a little bit. I was sitting on John's lap. We had been just like talking and flirting, waiting for the movie to start. He tried to take a quick nap. We were just hanging out.
Now you say we, and we've talked about Jonathan. I want you to take a look at People's Exhibit 4855.
Okay.
What is that a picture of?
That's a picture of Jonathan Blanc.
Is that the way he looked back on July the 19th and 20th of 2012?
His hair was a little longer, but yes.
Okay. Your Honor, I'm going to move for the admission of People's Exhibit 4855 into evidence.
Any objection?
No objection.
Without objection, it is admitted and it may be published.
Thank you, Your Honor. Ma'am? Is that Jonathan Blanc?
Yes.
Is that who you went to the movies with back then?
Yes.
And when you say we, you're talking about you and this man up here?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. So the movie starts. Does anything unusual happen while you're watching the movie?
Yes.
Tell us what happened.
There was a canister that was thrown from, if you were looking at the screen, from the right-hand corner of the screen. I didn't realize at the time someone was standing there, but it was obvious when the canister was thrown that someone had been standing there, and it flew up in the air over our heads and smoked the entire time it was in the air. And then there was loud booms and flashes of light.
Let me do this with you. Take a look at 1181. Could you indicate on there where the canister came from on that?
Yes.
And just put an S with a circle around it. Okay. Your Honor, I'm going to move to admit People's Exhibit 1181 into evidence.
Do you want to take a look at it?
Oh, yeah, forgive me, Your Honor. I've
That's
done that
fine.
every time. Sorry. Ma'am, can I get that from you? Thank you.
Any objection, Ms. Spengler?
No objection.
All right, without objection, it is admitted.
With the court's permission, I'd like to have you come down here and talk us through the action of what took place after this canister was thrown. Your Honor,
Yes.
is that okay?
Yes, that's okay.
Ma'am, would you grab that microphone for me?
Yes.
And you got to push the little thingy up on it to make it light up. Button. Got it. Okay. First, I should ask you, does this look like sort of the 3D version of that Exhibit 1181 that we just had you draw on?
Yes.
For this jury here, would you point to the seats where you and Jonathan Blanc were sitting?
Yes. Like, right here.
Okay. And you're pointing to these. They're not on the end. They're two in from the right end as you face towards the screen?
Yes.
Okay. And do you remember who was sitting where?
Yeah, I was in this seat, and John was in this seat.
Jonathan Blanc was to your left
Yes.
as you face the screen.
Yes.
Okay. Now, point to where you remember seeing the canister thrown from.
Up here.
You said up on the stand that you didn't see a person at first. Did you ultimately see someone down there?
Yes.
Describe for us what you saw.
Well, you could just see the outline of someone, because only when there were flashes of light.
We'll talk about the flashes of light in a minute. This canister that's thrown, do you have some sense of where it landed?
I thought it landed somewhere back here because it kind of flew over our heads. I watched it.
Okay, and you've just demonstrated with your head watching it go from the right to the left back? Is that fair?
Yes.
All right. You said it was smoking the whole time.
Yes.
What kind of smoke? Like cigarette smoke?
Well, I am not very familiar with, like
Smoke?
gun smoke, but it smelled like fireworks, like gunpowder stuff.
This is a good time to ask you this. At the time that you see this canister thrown, with the smoke coming out of it, are you scared?
Objection 401, 403.
Overruled.
No, I was confused. I thought it was a prank. I thought it was fireworks.
Now, your voice trailed off there at the end, so let me loop that back in. You said you thought it was a prank. What do you mean?
I thought teenagers were throwing fireworks in the movie theater. I kind of shook my head, like, oh, I can't believe teenagers are throwing fireworks.
Did Jonathan react the same way?
No, he did not.
What did he do?
He immediately grabbed me and said, Jansen, he pushed me down behind the seats in front of us and said, Jansen, we have to get down and stay down.
Now, tell this jury with your finger, show them, where did he push you down to in there?
He pushed me right here to begin with, and then immediately after that started pushing me underneath the seats. So I was laying flat underneath the seats, and he was on my left side.
Now, are these seats that typically flip up, when you get out of them?
Yes.
And you said he was trying to shove you underneath them?
Yes.
Was he successful?
I feel like he was, yes.
You're pretty small.
Yeah, I felt like I was pretty far under there, but I kept trying to nudge further under up in the stair.
Why were you doing that?
Because I was feeling like sprinkles of gravel landing on, there was some that landed around my face and neck, and then some that landed on my left side.
We'll get to the gravel part in a moment, but you talked about seeing some flashes. Was that before or after Jonathan's trying to stuff you under the seats?
Well, the first flash, he put me down in front of the seats, and by the second flash I was being pushed underneath the seats because I had kind of stuck my head up, and that's when I saw another flash, and he put me even further under the seats, and then you could just see flashes of light from underneath the seat, but not quite as vivid as it was when I looked up.
Had you ever seen flashes of light like that before?
I have not.
Did you have any idea what it was?
No, I did not.
Were you scared yet?
Objection 401-403.
Overruled.
Go ahead.
Yes.
What was it that made you scared? The flashes of light or something else?
John was very, very urgent. He'd never reacted like that to me.
Let me ask you about that. Now, how much time had you spent with Jonathan Blunt before this evening?
Objection, Your Honor. 401-403.
Overruled.
Go ahead, ma'am.
About 9 months.
During that time, had you ever seen him react this way or heard his voice this way?
Same objection.
Same ruling.
No, he was a very easygoing guy, and he took everything lightly.
And how would you describe his demeanor with you as he's pushing you under these seats?
Urgent. There was definitely something wrong that I did not recognize.
So you're underneath the seats now, and you said you're trying to make your way, and I'm using my hand to gesture towards these stairs?
No. I was just pushing myself back up against this back stair that I just kept nudging further up against it, and honestly, I was trying to lay on my side so that I could be even further under the seats that flipped up.
While you're under those seats, what are you hearing going on in the theater?
The woman behind me screamed, "I've been shot," and she did that twice. And then someone was running over the seats, and he lost a shoe. One foot stepped on my head while I was laying underneath the seats, and then he lost a shoe right in front of my head because I looked up and I saw it, and it was a red and white Jordan, and he yelled, "Jesse's been shot, Jesse's been shot."
Let's back up a little bit because you talk a little quick.
Okay.
Is that okay? And
Uh-huh.
I'm just trying to keep her on our side right here for just taking these words down without
okay.
missing them. You said you saw a red and white what?
Jordan. It was a Jordan.
And when you say Jordan...
The shoe, the Michael Jordan shoe with the basketball.
I'm thrilled you know who Michael Jordan is. Yes, that's Michael Jordan's shoe. And is it because he stepped on your head over the seat, and I'm pointing to the in front, or did his foot slip down behind?
Yeah, he was walking on the seats, in between right here, and so his foot slipped through the seat when it was up and kind of hit my head, but because the seat was stopping him from going fully on the ground, he didn't step on my head very hard, and then he lost his shoe in the next seat over.
Other things that you remember. Do you remember hearing any noises associated with the flashes that were coming from the front of the theater?
Yes, very loud booms.
Had you ever heard sounds like that before?
Not really, no.
Okay. How many do you think you heard?
A lot.
Or you weren't counting them in your head?
No, I was not counting them.
When you're laying under there and this foot comes down on top of you the way you've described, what's Jonathan doing?
He was breathing very heavy.
Now listen, let's take a moment and talk about that. You detected a change in his breathing?
I was convinced myself again, and this must be a joke because it sounded gurgly, like a zombie kind of.
Do us a favor. Could you recreate what you think you heard underneath the seats that night? How many times did you hear him make that noise?
Objection
3.
403-401.
As to how many times? Overruled.
Go ahead.
3 times, and it stopped.
Tell us, and I'm not sure I understand this. You heard those sounds, and you thought it was part of the prank?
Yeah, because I've been to the zombie crawl downtown, and people make those noises the whole time, and so I thought I was like, this must be a prank and everybody's in on it, even John, because he's making that noise. But then I realized there was probably no way he could be in on it because he would have told me.
I mean, look, is your mind just racing?
I would say that.
After he stops making that sound, what did you observe?
The shooting was still going, and there was like warm, wet stuff falling from the seats above, like kind of flowing down the seats and the chairs, and it had these chunks in it. So then I decided this was a prank again because those had to be water balloons with warm, wet water and latex.
Hang on one sec. You say they're falling. Are they hitting you?
No, it was like a river of water falling onto me.
Onto you? Where
Yeah.
onto you?
All over my head, my back, like I was blinking this liquid down my eyes.
And you thought it was a blown-up balloon that had water in it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how long did you lay under there before something else happened?
Probably until the shooting stopped, probably about 2 minutes. I don't know for sure the exact time.
At that time, from the time with you described the water balloon sensation and Jonathan making those last three sounds, did he make any other sounds?
No, he did not.
Did you sense him moving at all?
No, I did not.
Did you get...
Oh, yes, he did. He pushed me underneath the seat, one last push. I felt his hands on my back, and then I felt them fall away. But that was probably before the sounds happened, I feel like.
Before the three sounds
Yes.
Okay. So did
That was when he was still pushing me underneath the seats.
Yes, ma'am. Did you end up getting out of the theater?
Yes, I did.
Before we get there, you're on the ground underneath these seats. Is Jonathan on the ground on top of you or next to you?
Right next to me. He was in.
Hold on. Overruled.
Go ahead, ma'am.
He was in the aisle right here.
What did you try to do?
I sat up when the shooting stopped, and I looked over the seats really quick to make sure no one was shooting, and then I tried to shake him, and I kept saying his name, John, come on, we have to get up, we have to
Your Honor,
go.
excuse me a minute, interject. 401, 403. I didn't hear that. 401, 403.
Overruled.
Go ahead. How long do you think you shook him?
Maybe like 10, 15 seconds.
How hard were you shaking?
Hard enough that someone that was asleep would wake up.
Could you see his face?
Yes, his face was turned towards me.
And were his eyes open or closed?
They were closed.
Did you ever see him take another breath?
I did not.
Or see him move again?
I did not.
What'd you do?
I realized something was wrong, so I tried to call 911, but I didn't have my phone, so I reached into the pocket closest to me, which would have been his right pocket, and his phone was not in there, so I started reaching even further under him to reach into his left pocket, and I could not reach that far. So then I tried to lift him up to take him out with me, and I could not.
Something that we could have done earlier that I'll do now is I want you to tell this jury how big Jonathan was.
He was about 6'2" and 200 pounds.
Were you able to pick up Mr. 6 foot, 200 pounds?
I got his right shoulder up maybe about 3 inches, and then I could not lift him any further.
How long did you struggle with him?
Objection, Your Honor. 401, 403.
Overruled.
Go ahead.
Probably, about 10, 15 seconds before I realized that I could not do this. He was too heavy, and I thought through the fact that if he had been shot...
Objection.
Sustained.
It's okay. After you tried to lift him for those 10 to 15 seconds, what did you do? And if you got up and moved, would you show us with your finger how you tried to get out?
So I was still kneeling, and so I looked over the seats again, and the movie theater did not have very many people in it. Only, I saw a couple little heads sitting just a couple rows in front of us, and then someone army crawling down here and another person running out. And so I thought maybe it might be safe to go, and I kept thinking I have to get help for John. And so I crawled to the end of the seats, and then I was crouching, and I ran down the stairs, and I went to go out this exit, out the lobby. And when I looked on the ground, there was bullet casings and other gun material.
Can I stop you for 1 minute? Because you've spoken 18 pages worth of stuff right there. Is that
okay?
okay? Hang on. I want to say some stuff for the record, and you correct me if I misstate what you indicated, okay?
Okay.
I know you're nervous. Okay. When you talked about seeing two heads above the seats. You were indicating, it looks like to me, 2 rows up from where the stadium seating starts.
Yes.
A little bit to the left of center. Is that
Yes.
fair? You also indicated someone was army crawling. Was those your terms?
Yes.
And that was down here in the flatter portion.
It was around here, and she was wearing a teal T-shirt.
And you said around here, right in front of where the movie screen would be? Is that yes?
Yes.
Okay. And then you described getting up and going down the stairs, and the stairs you were indicating were the ones on the right-hand side as you face the movie screen?
Yes.
Then you said you turned to try to go out this exit. Are you talking about back towards the lobby?
Yes.
All right. Thank you. Now tell us why you didn't keep running into the lobby.
Because I looked down and there were like bullet casings everywhere. And so I thought whoever had done this was probably in the lobby. So I turned immediately around and started walking very fast towards this exit door.
And when you say this exit door, you're talking to this green 3D looking thing on the right side of the theater.
Yes.
Okay, what did you see as you were going out that exit?
There was a pink flip-flop in the frame of the door, and the door was open, and so I went to go running out the door thinking like I have to get help for John. And then as I made it to the frame over this pink flip-flop, I saw a man standing next to that white car.
Yeah, and let's be accurate. There is a white car displayed here in this particular parking space. Do you know if it was that exact kind of car?
No, I don't.
The car you described seeing, though, was it in that space?
Yes.
Okay. And we'd taken out some walls, so it's a little less clear. But you walked out the door past the pink flip-flop. By the way, do you remember seeing anything else on the ground?
Not really, no.
Your mind's still racing?
Yeah.
Okay. You get out there and you see someone standing by which side of that car that's in that space?
Someone was standing on the driver's side next to that car.
Had that person opened the door yet?
No.
The door was still closed?
Yes.
Describe for us what that figure looked like.
It looked like a man's build, like kind of bigger, like shoulders, and he had his hands down to his side and he was looking in the driver's side window.
Could you see if that person had any guns on them or around them?
No.
And by the way, how long did you spend when you stepped out the door and saw this person by the car?
Yeah, maybe 10, 15 seconds again.
That's a long time.
Okay, I don't know, 5 to 10 seconds. Not
Why?
long enough to look for somewhere else to go.
Okay, why were you looking for somewhere else to go?
Because I did not think it was safe to run past him because of what had just happened. I thought it was very strange behavior to just look in a car.
Were you scared?
Yes.
Can you show us, if it's on here, where you then went after seeing that guy by the car?
Up these stairs to the right of me because I thought there was a bad guy in the lobby and this guy didn't. He was weirding me out too.
One thing. Now, we can all see, even the jury, the top part of these stairs. But they continue down past here?
Yes.
Tell us how far up those stairs you ran.
Probably about to here.
And you're indicating just below the top of the wall from the portion you can see?
Yes.
Okay. And what did you do?
I then climbed over I used the railing to climb over that wall and lower myself into this enclosure.
Were you hiding?
Yes, I was.
Where?
Well, so once you got in here, there was a big green garbage can, and then there was like some smaller, just regular garbage cans that any facility would use that just has like the black lid that you throw your trash bags in. So I lowered myself onto the big green garbage can and then onto the smaller black garbage cans and then onto the ground, and there was a big trash compactor, and so I went over like my feet would have been at this door and my left side would have been against this wall, and I tried to slide underneath the trash compactor.
When you said this door, you were indicating there's 2 yellow doors at the end of this little, I can't even call it a building, this thing.
Yeah.
And your body was up, you indicated, on the wall closest to where that car was?
Yes.
Okay. While you're there, first off, were you trying to be ninja-like quiet over there?
Very, very quiet. The whole time I was lowering myself, I kept thinking about how I can't make any noise because I don't know, I can't trust this person by the car. And then when I got underneath the trash compactor, well, I couldn't get fully under it, but I got like half my body. I covered my nose and mouth like that so that no one would hear me breathing.
Did you ultimately hear someone you believe to be the police say something?
Yes, I heard someone say freeze, and then I heard police radios, but they seemed too quiet for me to say anything because I was fearful that that maybe there weren't enough police, the police could get
I'm gonna object at this
overtaken.
point.
Sustained.
Excuse me.
So,
Wait, hold on. I sustain the objection.
Yeah,
So-
and I'm sorry, I should have jumped in with a question there. Sorry. Did the police ultimately, did you make yourself known to the police ultimately?
yes.
And did they come get you?
No.
Did you get out of there?
Yes, I crawled out the way I came.
All right, and I think that's all that we need for this, Your Honor. If we could, thank you, ma'am. Can you go back up there and you can turn off the microphone? Thank you. Thank you.
And Mr. Bruckler, we need to adjourn here pretty soon, so I don't know if you want to wrap up or if you want to continue with the testimony after lunch.
I think I can wrap up, Your Honor, if I could
All
have
right.
a couple minutes.
Go ahead.
Ma'am, you were ultimately taken to a hospital and treated, is that right?
Yes.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
I'm handing you what's been marked as People's Exhibits 4660 and 2555. Do you recognize what's in those photographs?
Yes.
Now, I want you to first take a look at 2555. What is that a picture of?
The shrapnel wound I had on my left side.
When you talked before about feeling like gravel hitting you, is that the area where you felt it hit you?
Yes.
And what was the treatment they prescribed for you for that?
They said it would heal on its own, so nothing.
Over time, did little pieces of stuff come out of you from those wounds?
Objection to 401 and 403.
Overruled.
I, a few months later, had another scab that just formed out of nowhere that it potentially could have been something.
And did they tell you that this was from some sort of shrapnel or, I can't remember the term, grazing?
Same objection and calls for hearsay.
Sustained.
Do you remember what caused those injuries?
They just said shrapnel.
Your Honor, may I move to admit, I'm going to move to admit 2555 into evidence and ask that it be published.
Any objection?
No objection.
Without objection, it is admitted and it may be published.
Ma'am? Are these those shrapnel wounds on your side?
Yes.
Thank you. Last picture, that 2660.
I think it's 4660.
Oh, thank you, Your Honor. 4660. What is that a picture of?
It's a picture of me in the hospital.
Now, does it look like there's blood on your face there?
Yes.
Is that how you looked when you first came out of the theater?
I looked a little bit worse.
What happened to make it seem better in that picture?
Someone who was also
Object and objection to 401, 403.
Overruled.
Go ahead.
someone who was also in the movie theater was with me in the hospital. I did not know her at the time, but I know her now, and she asked for a bucket of water to clean blood off my face.
That stuff that you described when you were crunched underneath those seats that you thought was a water balloon with popped latex, did you see what that ultimately was that was all over you?
Yes, I did.
What was it?
It was blood.
Other than that being cleaned off of you, is 4660 a fair and accurate representation of how you looked after you came out of the theater?
Yes.
I'm going to move for the admission of 4660.
Is there any objection?
No.
Without objection, it is admitted and it may be published.
Okay. Thank you. I don't have any further questions, Your Honor. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
All right, is there any cross-examination, Ms. Spengler?
No.
All right, and the jury does not appear to have any questions for this witness. May this witness be released from our subpoena?
Yes, sir.
Any objection?
No.
All right, thank you, ma'am. All right, members of the jury, let's go ahead and take our lunch break at this time. We're going to go ahead and take an hour and a half. Please keep all my advisements in mind during the break and follow all of them, please. Thank you. Enjoy your lunch. The record should reflect that the jury has now exited the courtroom. You may be seated. Is there anything we need to talk about at this time on behalf of the people? Mr. Brockler, do you have anything?
I do, Your Honor. Something I guess I'd ask the court to consider over its lunch break as well. Tomorrow we anticipate calling one of the state-appointed psychiatrists to the stand. I've spoken with Mr. King about the method that I'd like to do in terms of presenting the videotape statements that he took over 22 hours. And we have I guess Mr. King has a proposal. I object to the manner in which he wants to go about it, but I wanted to put it in front of the court to consider before we get to tomorrow. And so I guess what I'm teasing up there is, does Mr. King want to?
Well, tell me your proposal first, and then
Probably a good
I'll
idea.
ask what he wants to do.
Judge, we have 22-ish hours of videotaped forensic interview by Dr. Reed. I anticipate playing all of that. It's the only videotape interviews over the course of this entire case. I anticipate playing all of that for the jury. But rather than have them sit and watch videos for the several days it would take to get that evidence out, I had thought to break up the video to ask questions at different breaks that would coincide with the court's typical clock of providing a break at 10:30 and at lunch and then at 3, where I would ask questions about what was significant or learned about that earlier portion. And I shared that with Mr. King. And then Mr. King has a proposal he wanted to offer that I disagreed with.
All right, Mr. King, what's your proposal?
Well, Your Honor, first of all, I would object to the procedure proposed by Mr. Brockler of breaking up the publishing of this exhibit. And I would say, Your Honor, that I see this testimony in this exhibit as fundamentally different than, for example, the videotape that we had of the movie theater or some of the other evidence where commentary by the detectives who've analyzed the video and whatnot is helpful to the jury in being able to identify, for example, when somebody walks across the screen or making some observation that may be otherwise difficult for the jury to see. I think that the nature of this evidence, and it's been admitted over our objection, is such that it's testimonial in nature in many ways. And I would object to being able to parse this out piece by piece and would prefer to have the entirety of the exhibit played for the jury so that they can analyze it for what it is. It's a series of interviews with Mr. Holmes by this doctor. It's contained on videotape. They speak for themselves. And I think that under Rule 611, the court has the ability to determine how evidence is going to be presented. I also have a practical concern, Judge, and that is that in order to effectively cross-examine, then, I may have to go back through and play significant portions of the videotape again with Dr. Reed in order to be able to effectively cross-examine him about the points that Mr. Brockler has brought out in this kind of truncated fashion. So the proposal that I suggested to him, first of all, I would object to the procedure, and I would ask that the exhibit be played from beginning to end for the jury. If the court is going to indulge Mr. Brockler's proposal and consider allowing him to present it in segments interspersed by commentary and testimony by the witness, I would then ask to be allowed to cross-examine in those segments as well, only as to the subjects raised by Mr. Brockler's questions as he questions the witness about that topic or those topics that were part of that segment. My then cross-examination at the end of Mr. Brockler's direct examination would include other topics not included in those. In other words, I wouldn't repeat and have to have cumulative testimony at that point in time. It would allow us to move forward in a more orderly fashion, and it would allow us to address these issues without having to spend too awful much time with this video and this jury. It would be a more efficient, I think, and expeditious way to proceed if the court is going to grant his request. So those are my two positions, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Brockler, you're opposed to both of those proposals?
I am, Your Honor, and I'd say this. I agree that it's different than the kind of factual evidence of a video being played of what's taking place in the lobby as people are fleeing or what we're seeing in the concessions area. I agree with that. But this video isn't 22 hours, 22 consecutive hours of a conversation with the defendant. It, by its very nature and creation, was segmented to provide for different breaks. And the fact that it totals 22 hours doesn't change the fact that it's really an AM and PM session across the course of what amounts to, I think, 5 different days. So it's already segmented. And what takes place in each of those segments facilitates and encourages changes and different follow-up areas that the doctor goes into in these subsequent areas. All I'm asking the court to do is to say, rather than have 3 straight hours of video with follow-up, which I'm happy to do, is to allow us to break it up to coincide more naturally with the court's schedule and breaks. I understand that, I think the court has the discretion to provide for the presentation of evidence that it wants. I agree with that. But, Your Honor, this is our case. This is our portion of this case. And I don't deny Mr. King the ability to conduct the cross-examination that he thinks is the best and most effective for his client when it's time for him to conduct that examination. But what's interesting is, if the court were to deny our ability to break this up, even to match what was the normal recorded sessions, Mr. King would be left doing exactly what he complains about having to do, which is to revisit different video portions that he thinks are important to go over in cross-examination. This is a manner in which we can get this out that we think in our presentation of evidence is the most effective for not a fact witness, for an expert witness. And then Mr. King, of course, would be permitted the opportunity to conduct the cross-examination I know the court would permit him to have.
Okay. All right, let me think about it during the lunch break. Is there anything else we need to talk about?
No, sir, thank you.
Anything else?
No.
All right, and thank you for bringing this up to my attention ahead of time. Yes. All right, enjoy your lunch. The court will be in recess.
Please rise.